And
Hello
now that we've
everyone,
met the
welcome
rival
back to the
Evil Team
Croneo
Elite
region.
4 and
The
more,
Fake One
let's
region
make a
based on Scotland that
rival
I've been
Evil
showing
Team
off for the
Elite
past
4 and
18
more.
months now.
More behind
Today
the scenes,
I'm
we've
going
got the
to do a
general
sort of
characters
sequel
that
to
like
my
this,
gym
let's
leaders video
make
by
them,
showing off all
actually.
the other NPCs.
Well, I guess
I
it's
wanted
probably
to do this
come
now
before
since
it,
the
but
video
it doesn't
is
really
out,
matter. They're
because I
around the
didn't
same
want to
time
spoil the
anyway.
plot. So best you go watch it first. Assuming you have, let's start
It's
off
one of those
with
where,
your
like,
rival,
you can watch
Heather.
whatever you
She's
want,
also
either
the daughter
or.
of the professor, since I felt that would provide
created by
great
Dr.
story
Evil, link
potential.
show
To me, the
description.
professor is a figure of authority you'll always trust in Pokemon. At least this was true before Gen 9, which wasn't even announced when I came up with most of these characters, including the
twist!
professor. And yes, a lot of these
So they're
ideas
evil
are
in
ones
that
I've
game
had since
too.
then.
Nice.
The story
Or at
ideas
least
and most
corrupted
of
or
the character
something based by
concepts
their
which
eyes.
came from
I've
them
seen.
were some of the earliest ideas I had in the project. Anyways, with
It's a
this
nice
assumed
twist.
trust in the professor, I felt that would naturally
the Pokemon
start
can
you
still
off
do
with a
something
sense of
every once
opposition
in a
to
while.
Heather, compounded by the fact that she's quite competitive, to sort of emulate the likes of Blue and Silver. That said, I'm not sure how much that came across, since everyone kinda guessed that Barkley was evil from the start. Sylvie. Speaking of, she's not white or male. This was more a decision not made out of any diversity-related reasons, but out of variety. Prior to Generation 9, since that's what's relevant for my decision-making, if we ignore all the rivals that are just the gender option you didn't pick, the only female rivals we had were Bianca, Shauna, and I guess Marnie? I don't think I'd count Lily, although she's still important to the plot. But even if I did include her, girls are in the vast minority, compared to boys, as rivals go. So I felt like having a female rival was important.
Very much so.
Which also felt impactful because I was only planning
there's not a lot of them,
and
as I
all
said.
the female rivals I mentioned at least share the spotlight or are overshadowed by either a male rival or the alternative gender rival, which could be male. I also felt that all of the more competitive rivals, while having very distinctive designs, felt like
why is
they
the
could have
Gen
something
8
that
guy
looked quite
here? He
different in their
sucks.
lineup. Since they're all pale boys.
He starts
we
off as
have
the Gary, then
Nimona now,
becomes
but remember,
lame.
I came up with
You
Heather
butchered
before
him.
Nimona
You
came.
butchered my
Speaking
boy.
of, when Nimona's
Poor
design
B.
was
It
revealed,
was new, but I
immediately
didn't
got
like
anxious
it.
due to the fact that what I had planned for Heather was going to draw comparisons. Not just due to being a girl who isn't as pale as the other rivals, but the alternate colour streak in her hair. I stuck to my guns, however, since we can have multiple characters like this. Also,
sure, why not? And then you can have the internet meltdown that they're not black enough.
Why her hair has
just like with Leela with
the colour itself
I
is
hate
just complementary to her
humanity
outfit,
sometimes.
which I'll get to. As for why she has a streak at all, it's because I wanted to play into the rebellious teen trope, which I don't see as a problem since it does tie in with her character, which is fully explored and doesn't feel like she's just rebellious. Because as we found out, she was right to feel the way she does about her dad. As you can see from her hair, her clothes, and her personality, I did kind of have a punk theme going through my head with Heather's design, which makes sense considering she's a protagonist in an anti-establishment storyline. With her dyed hair, purple leather jacket, and
it gets the
spiky
point
boots
across
adding to the
pretty
aesthetic.
easily.
As for her choice of shirt, no, she's not part of Team Yell. No, she doesn't come from Spikemouth. No, she's not related to Marnie and Piers. She's just a fan of Piers' music. Are you seriously telling me you've never heard of a teenager wearing merch of their favourite bands and singers before?
Yeah, what rock do
the
you
kind
live
of rival I
under?
wanted her to be, I did decide
didn't
to
even
have
think
Heather
of
pick the
Pierre's, to be
starter
honest.
strong against yours, like most rivals in the first 6 generations did. She doesn't have any psychic types, since her dad is a psychic specialist. Originally, I wanted her to have a bug, a dark, and a ghost type to really sell this further, but the only ghost type I felt worked without any overlap with Anastasia, or any other type specialist using a ghost type.
You could do the Pikachu from the Pokepia. Oh, it didn't come out yet.
But if I had to give her a fairy type, Miriam's protest form made more sense, due to the theme of her character and her role in the story. So I had to scrap her having a ghost member, but I'm sure her team would have
could have been the
plenty of ghost
Raticate.
moves. I also struggled with the dark type, for similar reasons, but I felt like it would work to give her an Eviolite Absol, since Absol can now evolve into Heracite, which gains the psychic type, which Heather wouldn't want, due to it being her dad's ace, as well as being psychic type generally. So she's making use of the fact that Absol is a dark type that isn't fully evolved. Her Croneo Snorlax is there because it's a bug type, and I thought that it would work on a rival team. Scrapoon works due to the kinship alternative people have with raccoons, as well as the fact that it is a steel type, as steel is the only type that resists psychic other than psychic itself. As for Draconion, I felt like putting Draconion on somebody's team. And since evolutions don't go to villains, she was really the only trainer who could get one. Also, I sensed that if Croneo were an anime, the trademark Eevee story arc, like with May, Serena, etc., would surround Heather's Eevee, since I'd assumed Douglas's would already be a Petion at this stage. Finally, her name. Pokemon have a tendency to name characters after plants, and flowers in particular. Think Iris, Peony, Poppy,
I just went with because it was generic girl
There's a long
name,
history.
Heather.
Considering she's the daughter of a professor,
No,
who are
you
usually
just
named after trees,
typically how it goes.
Barkley is too. It made sense that someone named after a big plant would have a daughter named after a small one. Heather is a kind of flower, and probably the most iconic kind in Scotland outside the thistle. Heather is also a girl's name in Scotland, so I felt that worked. They also tend to be pinkish, purpley lavender, which fits Heather's colour scheme. If you're enjoying this video so far, consider giving it a like and why not subscribe. I want to at least double my subscriber count as my end of year goal. My resolution, if you will. Also, make sure to check out my Instagram in the description and maybe join the Discord server as well if you want to talk.
Check those out if you're interested.
Or even participate in my ongoing contest. Optionally, if you can and want to financially support what I do, check out my Patreon or become a YouTube member today. Back to the video. Let's talk about your two other friends, or rather just one of them, since Brooke I already talked about in the
work associates.
So, what about Douglas? Well, he plays into the socialist themes of Croneo's plot. He wants to become a gym leader because he's a very talented battler and passionate about ground types, but he can't. If you didn't understand why they weren't letting him in to become a gym leader, especially if Brooke got fired,
because he'd be a good choice that cares about the people.
This is meant to be a take on class warfare. The Elite Four are in charge of the league and meant to be the upper class, elites if you will. Most of the gym leaders are wealthy enough to live comfortably and kinda get what they want from time to time. Not exactly lavish in riches, except for maybe Sonny, considering he's related to one of the Elite Four. So the higher working class and middle class, essentially. Douglas is meant to be a guy who's a bit lower down the ladder. As a result, he doesn't have the money to splash on anything fancier than what he wears.
The joke is that a lot of systems
ultimately
ultimately come down to this when you get right down to it.
As for what he is wearing, he has shoes and he doesn't know how to tie them, which was a funny quirk the artist wanted to add. It could be comic relief. You could also read into it as him not being able to afford any
if there was an anime base, it's probably
as for the rest
a lot.
of his clothes, the trousers are brown since he's a ground specialist, and his hoodie is a tie-dye hoodie, which references Cronian Luxray, his ace. His hair being a bit shaggy is also a reference to the wispy fur on Cronian Luxray. Now, why is it Douglas's ace? Well, in universe, it is ghost type due to similar reasons as Hisui and Zoroark, that being humanity treating it horribly and disenfranchising it, just how Douglas feels.
Terrible.
I also made it a ground type to fit Douglas. By the way, if you want to find out more about the real-world inspirations that went into the Cronian Shinx line, as well as other Canadian monarchs
shameless plug
due to some connections that Canada and Scotland have, check out that video. But anyways, his team, which you battle in the post-game, is just all of the fully evolved ground types in Croneo, and in
Makes sense to me.
Because not only can you get the Pete block in Croneo, but it's even stronger than it was in Hisui, granting Eevee a new ground type evolution in Petion. So you could get Ursaluna too. His name is Scottish in origin, meaning Dark Stream, so in a way it kinda ties into his story due to his future job prospects being
I'm just disappointed he doesn't have a twin named
sound
Donald.
like Doug, as in to dig. Time to talk about the Chief of Police, Rory. Yes, I went for a very Scottish spelling for a reasonably simple name. His name means Red King, which is kinda ironic because if anything, he should be a Blue King. Honestly, nothing really too special about him. I felt like a Chief of Police character was needed to stand out against the regular officers, a more seasoned veteran.
They need some
and I just have the idea for a big mustache to be given to him. It fits with
like
the
an
Stoutland
mustache.
He has a Gloriana because the police
Stoutland
are
also
known
has
for
a
having
stash.
dogs, and he has a sheriff form of Myriad because thematically it just made sense. I
Yeah.
think how people are
Corrupt
receiving him is
cops.
pretty much how I intended. Some people think he's bad because he's in charge of a corrupt police force, but some see him in a more sympathetic light, taking the "I'm only doing my job" line at face value. I'm not going to say you should or you shouldn't, because I want to leave it ambiguous. Whether or not you believe him is up to you. I feel like a lot of people miss the nuance of the ACAB debate. It doesn't literally mean every cop is a bad person.
Then
on
why
an
they call it
individual
that?
basis. However, the reality is that there are systemic issues that mean even the good people can be forced into situations that are bad, and sometimes those who revel in bad situations are encouraged to make more happen. So
Sad but true.
Blind trust in the police is even more naive than believing that all are bad. As I say, it's nuanced, and I don't want to go any more in depth about the entire debate. If you want to read into it further, I hope that this acts as a springboard for further research. As I hope all the
My
fans of
problem is
Croneo
the word
would. But back to Rory, I left it as vague as the situation is nuanced. I'm glad I was able to execute it in that way. Let's talk about the other institutional corruption within the storyline. Mainly organizations which do power grabs by any means necessary, particularly from those in charge of said organizations, the board of directors. Morven isn't in charge of them per se. That's the job of Chairman Taylor, of course.
So that's why
but
she
Morven
had
is the only one we be neat. Discussing
Christmas
financial
trims, 'cause
plans
you got
to
that
net
on the
even more
wrist.
money for the league, basically so it can just funnel up to them. Her name
I
is
need
also
that money,
Scottish
I
in
really,
origin
really do. I
and
need
can
that
mean
money.
Big Gap, or more pertinently, Big Peak, which makes sense due to how she wants to reach bigger peaks time
She
after
rocks
time
that suit,
financially.
too.
She uses the
I like the
Croneo
tie.
Cherubi line due to Holly being tired of Christmas, which has been commercialized beyond belief. She
Oh,
uses the Croneo
absolutely
line
agreed.
as I based it on thistles, a national symbol of Scotland, and she's one of those patriots who doesn't actually care about their country, but would do any awful deed in its name. Well,
Oh,
I guess
so she
here
definitely
it's
belongs to
really
government then.
and
Ugh.
Gimme Ghoul because she loves money. Goldengo would have been a bit tough to fight.
There are a
before
depressing amount of
returning
people
to
who would
Gimbash.
willingly
Admittedly,
sell
when
your
it comes
soul
to
if it
evil
meant they could get
teams,
an
I wasn't
extra
sure what to
nickel.
do. Usually they're tied with the plot, either being themed around the world-destroying legendaries, nothing really to do with the wider plot, or it's just
Nothing
the
to
entire
do.
plot with Team Plasma. Since I knew I wanted the League to be the main
Why are they
it was
here?
hard
It's
to
a
slot in
Pokemon
an
game.
evil
They
team.
gotta be.
However,
It's
I
in the
had the
contract.
idea that one of the Elite Four could be the de facto evil team leader. And realistically,
I haven't done
the
that
team could be
before,
used
so that'd be
as
something new and
lackeys
refreshing.
to both be a private army and another avenue to fund their ventures, since the elites are all about money. So having something
Yes.
like Team Rocket was a must for me. I admit, I'm not the first person to conceptualize the idea of a shiny Pokemon trafficking ring. I made sure to
But it
go out of
makes
my way
sense.
not to check out any of the others once I had the idea, since
Yeah,
I
you don't
wanted
want it to
any
seem like a
subconscious
copycat.
overlap to be at a bare minimum. Their leader, Alexi, was actually designed first. His color scheme kinda trickled down to the grunts and admins.
Vaguely reminds
In
me of
terms
Marluxia
grunt
from
design,
Kingdom
the
Hearts.
idea
Now that's
the
the bad
arsenal
thing, I'm just
had
saying
was
it
to
reminds
make
me
them
of.
clubbers. I also wanted to make the femme one more of a tomboy, and the mask one have a midriff, since I felt it fit. Now,
Makes
a
sense,
few
flip the
people
script.
have called them furries. While that is not the intent behind their headwear, think what you want. I was just inspired by those frog cats, and I thought it would be cute for the femme grunt to have a Jigglypuff themed one, and have her hair twirl out to imitate
I
it.
think
The
it looks
mask grunt
adorable.
then got a Riolu to
I never got
Moving
furry
on to the
vibes,
first
so I don't know
admin
why
you
they
face,
went with that one.
Stuart.
Meh.
He's designed to be the
People
most
looking at anything.
pathetic human being you've ever met. Why is he so pathetic? Because I felt that it would be funny. His design was
Yeah, it
so
was a little
pathetic
funny.
he almost looked like a child. To make it a bit less ambiguous, he has a tattoo of his ace, Princess. It's his ace because it's a poison type, and evil team members usually use poison types. Dark
Typically,
types
yes.
as well, but shh. His pathetic
Yeah,
nature
shh.
also came as a result of being the antithesis of the other admin. Mari's name is also spelt in its traditional Scottish way. The H is silent, although it doesn't
why is it
actually
there?
come from Scotland.
Sorry, I
Mari
hate
derives
silent
from Mary,
letters.
which comes from Hebrew. I did reach out to some people who knew Hebrew to see if they knew about the name's origin, as well as consult online sources, but I didn't get a conclusive enough answer as to what it means. I went with the name anyway because she looks like a Mari. She is a buff lady, because I think Team Sparkle would have a muscle admin. Sort of like how
Makes
Matt
sense.
from Team Aqua was very muscular. Most
I like
muscular
the
characters in
beam
Pokemon
of just
are
like
men,
original
so
Gen
I
3.
felt
Oh,
like
it's just a
Team
small little
Sparkle's
guy. What you could do?
female. Let's move on
Remake.
to the
Oh my
Elite
god, he's gonna
Four.
break every
I
bone
felt
in my
like
body.
making them villains was a good way to make the theme of systemic corruption of the elites a core part of the story. They
Yes,
also
I
have
agree.
other important positions of power in the region, essentially monopolizing the hold they have over people. As a result, their designs reflect what their other jobs are. But I wanted to sneak their type in with their color schemes, mostly using the Galar Gym
Did a great
uniforms for each
job,
of them.
honestly.
Like I
I
did
didn't
with
think too
Croneo's
much
gym
into
leaders.
it.
Their types were especially chosen. Fairy is the strongest type, and Steel is the strongest defensive type.
We gotta get rid of
Draken was
dragons, they're too
considered OP
strong.
in
How do we
Gen
do?
5,
How do we
and
beat
Psyche
them?
is
Make an even
infamous
stronger
for being
one.
OP
That
in
would
Gen
fix
1.
power
Also,
creep.
in the order I showed their battles
Oh, well,
in the
they'll
video,
never be
their
100%
initials go
balanced.
S, T, A, and B, which is the abbreviation of the
Stab.
same type attack bonus modifier to when a Pokemon uses a move of the same type.
Okay, that's
All
fun,
of
I
this
like
was
that.
done to emphasize their theme of power. I'm sure everyone could tell that Sterling was a pastiche of Margaret Thatcher, former Prime Minister of the UK and former leader of the Conservative Party.
I've heard of her.
She was infamous for her policies which unfairly taxed people, put people out of work, killed innocents and those who retreated from combat, and other policies which set up modern conservatism by cracking down on LGBT plus youth and privatising everything, causing things
Rooms
to be
for
more
improvement,
expensive and
needless
less
to say.
regulated in the long run. So as you can tell, she made the perfect template for a villain in this kind of story, hence why
Makes
she's
sense
the
to me.
governess of the region. Making Sterling the Steel-type specialist was also a no-brainer, because Thatcher was commonly referred to as the Iron Lady. Sterling is also
Didn't
a
they make
kind
a
of
movie
metal
off of her
and a
recently?
place in Scotland.
Yeah, what
hence
I'm
the
saying,
character's
it's an
name.
important
Chairman
figure
Taylor
in history.
is
Of course they
from
made a
Chairman
movie off of
Elite.
it.
Since I had a feeling
That's just
that
a
bringing
freebie.
back this
It's like
kind
saying,
of
didn't they make a
structure
book
led to
a movie
storytelling
adaptation of this book?
Naturally,
Yes.
I wanted Taylor to be quite different from Rose, which is quite easy to do with Dragon's colours essentially being vastly different to a grey suit with a red tie. Not only that,
Like most
Taylor is
generic guy
wearing
in
a
suit
formal
ever.
Highland dress, complete with brogues, which are the shoes, high socks, a kilt and sporran, belt buckle, a spiked jacket, a tartan tie, and a full plaid, the cloth. Perhaps not all of the elements of Highland dress were adhered to, and the ones which were somewhat simplified.
Maybe
art
bended
style
a
and
couple
colour
rules,
choices,
but
as
hey,
well
it was for the sake
as
of a good
altered to
design. I think
simplify
it's
the
okay.
dragon specialist. Taylor's name is a common surname, but can also be a first name, which, due to his formal appearance, fittingly comes from tailor, which is a person whose job it is to provide you with clothing. The word tailor also derives from the Latin word meaning to cut, which is an action that fits the dragon type. His skin and hair color was made to match the normal gym leader, Sunny, since Taylor is his uncle. Now, they may not look too much alike, although they clearly look related. Taylor's skin color is
Vaguely,
taken
I
directly
can
from
see it.
Sunny's tan line, and his hair color is a less saturated version of Sunny's.
Oh yeah,
as
because
he
he's
is a
got
bit
that little
older.
mark around
Speaking of
the
blonde
shirt
men,
collar that proves that he
I
does
felt a
have a
somewhat
tan.
flamboyant but not too unserious man worked for an evil fairy specialist.
He's
especially
fabulous!
Since he leads Team Sparkle. He does have a sparkly suit, but the suit itself is very smart and presentable. He also has Crocs, so you know he's evil. The crime against fashion is bigger than any of the crimes he committed in this, I tell you that. The pink jacket also makes sense due to it being the most associated colour with fairy types, which did get inherited by the rest of Team Sparkle, as I mentioned earlier. But the black accents also work because pink and black as colours go really well together, and emphasises the fact he's outwardly evil. He is named Alexi simply because it rhymes with pixie. Finally, let's discuss Professor Barkley.
Simple as
Because he's a
sometimes.
bit older, he has salt and pepper hair. As he is the professor, I gave him a lab coat. But I also
Naturally.
quite like the idea of him having a waistcoat, bow tie, and tartan trousers. He is Scottish after all. His name comes from the Scottish clan Barkley. It's also the Scottish spelling of Berkeley, which means birchwood or birch tree meadow. There's also a tree called Barkley's Willow. So the tree theme of
I
all
named
of
the professor after a
names
tree. What am
is
I not
kept.
surprised for?
Yes, Gen 9 didn't, but they were doing their own thing, and Barkley was created
They didn't?
before we met
Oh.
Sada and Turo. I wanted him to be
We're not
evil
allowed to have
and
anything fun,
intelligent,
are we?
So his team is themed around growing his intelligence.
It really bothered me
including
that it
Dr.
turned out that
Slocum,
fire
his
type based on the
actual
Chinese
research
New Year
partner.
thing was
Lastly,
bullcrap.
Champion
Instead, they
Miriam.
just been
As you
doing
might
like
have
the
guessed,
same
she is
3
modeled
kinds of
from the
mons
late
over and
Queen
over
Elizabeth
again.
II. Granted, I
Since
didn't want
the
to be
Chinese
as
wouldn't have
direct
variety.
as Sterling was with Thatcher.
Meh.
The Queen was also a symbol of riches, as she was a monarch, and the monarchy is all pomp and no substance. Basically a puppet to keep the people indoctrinated into
More
the
or
way
less,
society
I mean,
works. Used by
when I found out the
Lord,
Queen doesn't even
monarchy
actually do much,
pretends
it's
to
the
be top
government
of
below. It's like,
chain.
what the
Hence
frick
why
is the
Miriam
point?
is
Tradition
champion,
and stuff
but
like
not one of
that.
the main
Plus, she
villains.
does do
This
some
also
things. One
explains
of
her
those just like,
front-facing pose and
I
facial
don't know.
expressions being sinister and feeling fake. I also
I don't know,
thought
Bryn's just
when
mad that
Sword
we
and
did
Shield
Bryn's
were
before, it
announced
was
that
cool.
maybe the champion could be based on the Queen. I wasn't alone, but I felt I could do this now for Croneo, since Scotland and England do share a monarchy. That said, I didn't want
they
to
do.
make her team a
I thought
joke,
they-
like with the
maybe
rest
I'm
of the
thinking-
league. Due to
Ah,
the plot, I felt it made sense for Miriam
All
to
I know is
use
they all
the
hate each
legendary
other over
Pokemon.
there.
But I did want
Bye
her
for the
other
best.
ace to be the pseudo-legendary. Plus, Sterling and Taylor used the other forms of it. Miriam's design even uses elements of Serpedon's Thundercrown form. I also wanted to give her a Greninja, as a soft reference to how Leon uses a Charizard. But I didn't want it to be her ace. Golforb's Master Ball form fits the aesthetic. Otrick is based on a king, so that fit a queen. And Cronian Poltergeist was just there for type balancing. Miriam's
Funny.
name, just like Mari, also derives from Mary, but this time it's a lot more regal. Plus, the most infamous Scottish queen is Mary I, who is usually referred to as Queen of Scots. She is not the same as Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary was Mary I of England, and
Get it
that's
right.
every character in the Croneo region. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Give the artists that made this video possible a follow, and check out the rest of the series in the playlist that will either be on screen now or in a few seconds. See you in the next video.
Alright, so that was nice to see all of the different people involved in the story and get to know more of their backstory and explanations and how they came to be in the inspirations. That's what I meant to say, not explanations. But yeah, learn about how you created them and how they all fit into the story, and of course how their designs fit into them themselves. And they all tied together like that. I didn't actually notice that whole the Elite Four actually look like what their type specialist is. I didn't think too much about that, but now when you said it a lot, it's just like, that does make sense. I mean, I did think the fairy guy looked like the frickin' in fairy type, but you know, he's the leader, but it should look like that. But yeah, it would actually make some sense to it, and the inspirations for all the designs were, you know, well thought out and played into the story well and whatnot. We may have some things we disagree on when it comes to some of this stuff, but You made some good designs for Pokemon characters, I can tell you that for an absolute fact with no debate. They all managed to come together well and, well, look the part, that's for sure. We may disagree on some things, but we also agree on some things, so hopefully the agreements can overshadow the disagreements. No two humans will ever agree 100% on everything, but I think we, I don't know, when it comes to some things, just like, we shouldn't be fighting with each other at the end of the day. We should be fighting with the people who are truly trying to screw us all over. It doesn't matter if we disagree as people. Humans naturally disagree. But as long as we all come together and try to fight for the greater good and try to fight off against people who are truly screwing us over, we'll be just fine. And yeah, some people can just go stick it. I don't know. I'm starting to repeat myself a bit, but maybe, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I did like the designs and how they all worked out and came out to be a better design and whatnot. Okay, I'm kind of going in circles here, but my point is that these are good designs for Pokemon and creations, and the outfits fit what they would look like and how their designs all work out. I'm kind of speaking in circles. The point is, I like the Pokemon character designs, and you did a good job making them all fit together. Of course, the artist did a great job that you commissioned and gave them money in order to do all this stuff from, thanks to your supporters and whatnot, and this all managed to come together well, and it's a good story that all worked. So overall, great duo of episodes from Dr. Eevee, and of course, it's people they commissioned in order to get this thing out in the first place. So, all that said, I guess I'm kind of repeating myself, so I'll probably end it here. So, thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, see you all next time, bye!